Jones versus Aspinall. This is just a topic that won't go away. And what's so interesting about it is that nobody cares. I mean, generally, when somebody loses interest, it goes away. But if you can ever get a word with Jon Jones, if you pull out a camera at an airport and you can get a few seconds with Jon Jones, there's nothing else to talk to him about. There's no conversation to be had. It's just you versus Aspinall. Like there is no other.
Ariel reported this. He knows for a fact the UFC offered Jon $30 million because Jon was like, I want 30. So he goes, I want Wilder money. I want Deontay. His exact words is, I want Deontay Wilder money. The UFC at first goes, you're fucking crazy. Then some money came in from the Middle East. They went, we'll pay that $30 million. And the UFC call him was, all right, bud, we're going to call your bluff. We came up with the 30. We'll give you 30. And he goes, I'm out. That's a fact, Jesse. He turned the fight $30 million down to fight Tom Aspinall. So when they say he's ducking him, that's why I went, ooh, 30 didn't get him out of bed?
Take that 30 and lose.
Then his legacy's tarnished. I don't think ducking, you can't call the greatest of all time, say he's ducking anybody. I don't think that's fair and super disrespectful. I think it's a calculated turning down of the fight. That's what it is. Calculated going, this guy looks really good. He's in his prime. I'm clearly not. I don't know much about him, man.
Yeah.
Let's see how he does with Cyril, which we're not going to learn a lot from that. Let's see how he does against some of these other guys, and then I'll do it. I think eventually Jon would do it, but it has to be in the next year. It would have to be like the White House card.
Jon Jones was offered $30 million to fight Tom Aspinall. Jon Jones allegedly turned down $30 million UFC offer to avoid fighting Tom Aspinall. That's right. According to veteran MMA insider Ariel Helwani, the UFC's greatest fighter of all time may have walked away from the biggest payday in promotion history. But why would Jon Jones turn down $30 million? Stay tuned as we break down this explosive story that has fight fans questioning everything they thought they knew about Bones Jones.
Yeah. You think Jones has been ducking him?
Yes. I don't like that word because I think it's disrespectful towards him, but I think he didn't want to fight him. And I think it was a calculated decision on his part. Why did you drag this out all the way until June when you knew you weren't going to fight him? He gave the UFC a number. I believe it's in the $30 million range for this fight, which, by the way, I think he deserves. Yeah. He didn't think that they would come up with the number. And they did.
Oh, what?
Oh, they did come up with the number, yes. And I believe that Saudi Arabia was involved. The big dogs were involved, right? And he said yes. And then 2 days later, 3 days later, whatever, he said, nah, on second thought, I'm out.
What?
And that's why when he announced his retirement, Dana said he gave me his word, and then he went back on his word.
Whoa.
I think he was hoping that they would not meet the number, and then he could be like, hey guys, I tried.
And Turkey was just like, no, we haven't.
And they met it. Yeah. Because that's what happened with the Francis Ngannou fight in 2020. He threw out a massive number. They said no, and then the fight fizzled. This time they said yes.
Let's dive straight into the heart of this controversy. Speaking on the Impaulsive podcast, renowned MMA journalist Ariel Helwani dropped what might be the biggest bombshell of 2025.
Jon Jones that kind of shied away from fighting Tom Aspinall leading up to the Stipe fight, which was an absolutely stroke of genius in terms of marketing because it drove the demand through the roof, sky high, made it the fight that everybody wants to see. Well, guess what? The man is going to get paid properly, more than likely. That's the rumor. Anyway, don't take it from me. Let's have a look and a listen to the godfather of UFC commentary, the one and only Joe Rogan.
Is he doing Peoria or Aspinall? Yeah.
He struggles with the names, to be fair, this guy.
I think it's going to be Aspinall. I think they're trying to come to some sort of an agreement. The rumor is that he wants $30 million, and that the UFC's going to pay it. Hopefully.
If I give him the opportunity to fight me, I want to be so compensated. I want to say I want that you money to the point where if I won or lost, that it really wouldn't matter.
I agree with him. Him and Pereira would be the Pereira.
Yeah.
Sorry, would be the fight everyone wants to see.
All right, so there we go. I mean, Joe Rogan says he's asking for around $30 million. And there's a good possibility that they would pay it. And I agree.
According to Helwani, Jon Jones requested a staggering $30 million to face interim heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall. And when the UFC surprisingly agreed to meet that astronomical figure, Jones backed out just 2 days later. To put this in perspective, folks, $30 million would have been nearly 4 times the previous UFC record payout. Brock Lesnar's $8 million purse against Mark Hunt in 2016 held the previous record. Jones's demand was also 5 times larger than his own $6.29 million earnings from his November victory over Stipe Miocic. But
Brock Lesnar ain't coming back. Brock Lesnar ain't never coming back.
Well, he's not going to come back and fight for a world title right away.
But he ain't
you
gonna
don't think so?
come back, bro.
No.
I think it'd be the only
That was the
way.
biggest embarrassment of the
It would
year.
be crazy
That was
for
the
them.
biggest embarrassment of the year.
Why would that be?
Embarrassment, bro.
What was embarrassing?
Just embarrassing him against Mark Hunt. They knew he was on the juice. He went in there loaded to the gills. It was just an embarrassing fucking. It was an embarrassing thing for everybody. And Mark Hunt had every right to be mad. They put him in there with a guy that's coming off rocket fuel. That dude just don't eat D-ball. Look at the size of his head. He's taking shit that makes your head grow. Okay? That's what they give the fucking pit bulls. I hope they put him against Miocic.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Helwani claims that Saudi Arabia and the big dogs were involved in putting together this massive offer. The UFC called Jones's bluff, and according to the veteran insider, that's exactly what Jones was hoping wouldn't happen. As Helwani put it, I think he was hoping they would not meet the number, and he could go, "Hey guys, I tried." This isn't the first time we've seen this playbook from Jon Jones. According to Helwani, Jones used a similar strategy when the UFC was trying to arrange a fight with former heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou. The difference? That time, the UFC wasn't willing to meet his asking price, so Jones got his way without having to explicitly refuse the fight. But this time, with Tom Aspinall, the promotion called his bluff. Many fans and experts felt that Miocic didn't deserve the title shot, especially with Aspinall holding interim gold. This created a narrative that Jones was deliberately avoiding the younger, more dangerous challenger.
Do you think Jon is ducking you?
Yes.
Was that
I
Tom?
do. I think I said, yeah, he is. He definitely is. I think that there's just an easier path for him, and I understand it. I do understand it completely. I understand that there's bigger fights out there for him with way less risk and way more money. I understand it, but in all honesty, do I think he's ducking me? Absolutely.
I do have to ask you about these reports of you being an asshole. Are they true?
Sometimes, yeah. Yes, I think everybody is sometimes.
The craziest thing was when Tom won the last fight in Manchester, I go, "Tom, what do you want to say to the champ, Jon Jones?" And Tom goes, "Jon, you're a really nice fella, and I would love to fight you." And then John's like, "This guy's a dick."
That's why it's so funny to hear Jon saying that. He's like the nicest guy on the planet. You're the exact opposite of your countryman, Michael Bisping. You're a genuinely nice person. You know what I mean?
And if Helwani's report is accurate, that narrative might have been spot on. The aftermath of this revelation has been swift and significant. Shortly after dragging out negotiations until June, Jones announced his retirement from MMA, effectively vacating the heavyweight title. But here's the kicker. Jones has since re-entered the UFC's anti-doping testing pool and expressed interest in fighting at the promotion's historic White House card planned for July 2026.
That gets a bit blurry depending on what the timeline is, but according to Twitter, his Twitter, not general hearsay, Jon Jones has unretired. That is correct. He says that he is now back in the testing pool. Check this out. So, of course, the UFC shares this, and this is very nice of the UFC, Jon Bones Jones, the great.
However, UFC President Dana White has shown little patience for Jones's indecision. At the UFC 318 press conference, White expressed his frustration, stating, "I just can't risk putting him in big positions in a big spot and have something go wrong, especially the White House card."
It's not even about him winning the belt. You know how I felt about him. I can't risk putting him in big positions in a big spot and have something go wrong, especially the White House card.
Not everyone is buying Helwani's story, though. Former UFC middleweight Chael Sonnen disputed the claims on his YouTube channel, saying his sources indicated Jones hadn't actually turned down the fight.
The only time that anything remotely weird has ever happened with Jon Jones was the time that his in camp did the weird Chael Sonnen thing. We can't fight Chael Sonnen on short notice. Other than that, and that wasn't him, it was his team, and he listened to his team for whatever reason. But that's like the goofiest fucking move in the history of the UFC.
Just to talk about that too, when you talk about Jon Jones at that time when that happened
That's the other thing about this sport right now. Not only the fighters are they willing to step up, but the coaches. You know, a lot of these guys go to their coaches and their coaching staff and say, you know, we're being offered this fight on short notice. Jon Jones coaches told him not to do it.
But veteran MMA journalist Luke Thomas backed Helwani's reporting, stating simply, if Ariel Helwani reports something, that's the reality. Meanwhile, Tom Aspinall has been elevated to undisputed heavyweight champion and is set to defend his title against Cyril Gane on October 25th, 2025. To understand why this story resonates so deeply with MMA fans, we need to examine Jon Jones's complicated relationship with the sport and its audience.
When you found out I was a pregnant woman, what was going through your mind?
I thought, man, I'm done. First, I was afraid that there would be some type of problems with her baby because, you know, obviously if she had a difficult pregnancy, then that's a whole different level of being in trouble. God forbid if she was having miscarriage. You know, I would imagine that would be 1,000% put on me.
What were you thinking about yourself? Like when you did that, when you ran, I mean, there's no way you could be happy with yourself that you did that.
I felt terrible.
What were you thinking?
I just felt like a monster. I feel like a monster. You know what I mean? I have tremendous respect for a woman.
However, his legacy has been consistently overshadowed by legal troubles and controversy. From DUI arrests to hit-and-run incidents involving a pregnant woman, from multiple failed drug tests to domestic battery charges, Jones's rap sheet reads like a cautionary tale. Even today, Jones faces ongoing legal challenges, including charges related to allegedly threatening a drug tester and a separate incident involving leaving the scene of a car crash. This pattern of self-sabotage makes the Aspinall situation feel familiar to longtime observers of Jones's career, a tendency to create controversy just when things should be going smoothly. The implications of this story extend far beyond one fighter's decision. We're talking about the UFC potentially offering its largest ever purse, involving international stakeholders like Saudi Arabia, for what could have been the biggest heavyweight fight in promotional history. Tom Aspinall represents the new generation of heavyweights, young, fast, and hungry. A victory over Jones would have been the ultimate changing of the guard moment. For the UFC, this represents a massive missed opportunity. The Jones-Aspinall fight had all the ingredients for a mega event, the greatest of all time versus the rising star, unification of titles, and global appeal. For fans, it's another.
Jon Jones retired in late June. Do you expect him to stay retired?
Well, he already came back and said he's back, and he already put himself back in the testing pool, saying he wants to fight at the White House. Conor wants to fight at the White House. You know, so he's back. He's back, but we're not talking about fights for him right now.
All right, so if Jon Jones and Conor both, I mean, enormous stars who've been so good for business, if they're coming hard, Dana, we want to do this, we want to do this, we want to do this. Do you trust either one of them to be on that card and to do what they have to do? Push and look bad?
Conor. I trust Conor.
You trust who?
Conor McGregor has never, ever, you know, unless he is seriously injured, this guy has always delivered. Jon, I'm a little more skeptical about.
Dana White has just delivered what many are calling a brutal reality check to former champion Jon Jones, while surprisingly backing the controversial Conor McGregor for the historic White House UFC event. But there's more to this story than meets the eye, and it involves recent body cam footage that has fans questioning everything they thought they knew about Bones Jones.
The driver of the vehicle that fled is Jon Jones, the fighter.
What the heck? I just got thrown over the phone.
He needed George 325.
I got thrown over the phone.
Right into the phone? What did it say? Starting you to GCS 36 reference possible criminal charges.
Said, I know some people that can hurt you for less money.
George 323 PD.
Yeah, it's him.
How do you know?
She has a picture in his hands just exactly like one.
Did they confirm that it was him?
Yeah, she confirmed.
This is already exposing him now.
Stay tuned as we break down this explosive story and what it means for the future of the UFC's biggest stars. Let's get straight to the bombshell that's rocking the MMA world tonight. In a recent interview with the Jim Rome Show, UFC President Dana White made a statement that has everyone talking.
Jon Jones retired in late June. Do you expect him to stay retired?
Well, he already came back and said he's back, and he already put himself back in the testing pool, saying he wants to fight at the White House. Conor wants to fight at the White House. You know, so he's back. He's back, but we're not talking about fights for him right now.
All right, so if Jon Jones and Conor both, I mean, enormous stars who've been so good for business, if they're coming hard, Dana, we want to do this, we want to do this, we want to do this. Do you trust either one of them to be on that card and to do what they have to do? Push and look bad?
Conor. I trust Conor.
You trust who?
Conor McGregor has never, ever, unless he is seriously injured, this guy has always delivered. Jon, I'm a little more skeptical about.
When asked about potential headliners for the unprecedented White House UFC event scheduled for July 2026, White didn't mince words about his preferences between two of the sport's biggest names. I trust Conor. McGregor has never, ever, unless he is seriously injured. This guy has always delivered. Jon, I'm a little more skeptical about. Dana White. That's right, folks. The man who built Jon Jones into one of the greatest fighters of all time just publicly admitted he's skeptical about banking on him for the biggest UFC event in history.
Dana, just very quickly, with regards to the Jon Jones situation, could you run us through what exactly happened? So you said it was the night before last. So he calls you or you called him, or what was the situation?
Yeah, so he called us and
Out of the blue, or?
And just started saying, you know what? I think I'm done. I want to retire, and been a great run. I appreciate everything, and that was it. It's just he was absolutely positively sure that he wanted to retire, and we said, why don't you sleep on it, and when you wake up in the morning, if that's how you still feel. And
was it an emotional call? Was he upset? Was it just kind of matter of fact, like, look, here's...
Yeah, I think it was, again, you never know what Jon Jones is dealing with, and then you wake up the next day, and so who knows? I mean, I don't know everything that went into this decision. It's something you guys are going to have to ask him if you ever see him again.
This isn't just business talk. This is Dana White essentially calling out Jones's reliability issues that have plagued the UFC for years. From last-minute pullouts to legal troubles, White is clearly fed up with the unpredictability that comes with booking the former two-division champion. But here's where it gets interesting. White is backing Conor McGregor, a fighter who hasn't stepped into the octagon in over 4 years, over the man many consider the GOAT. What does that tell you about Jon Jones' current standing with the UFC brass?
Jan Blachowicz refractor. Ooh, Jon Jones. That's badass. That's a shot. Badass. Look at that card. That's a very special card.
It's like the king.
That's nasty. Greatest fighter in the world?
He got a Jon Jones card that looks like a king. Are you kidding me right now?
To understand why Dana White is throwing Jones under the bus, we need to look at the pattern that's been building for years. Jon Jones has a history that reads like a cautionary tale. Multiple arrests, failed drug tests, hit-and-run incidents, and most recently, that shocking body cam footage that surfaced, showing Jones in yet another confrontation with law enforcement.
Why does a guy like you need Cialis?
I have a huge jail.
It's too big?
It's too big. For people who haven't taken it, it's a good time. I took an off-brand Cialis pill. It wasn't actual Cialis, but it was described to me as being a Cialis, and so I thought it was a Cialis. I just took it. I had a teammate basically tell me, hey, he was talking about how his girlfriend's a pharmacist and he's capable of getting all this stuff. Guys, like, you ever do like Cialis, Viagra's and all that stuff? And I'm like, yeah, I've had male enhancement pills before. And he's like, oh, I got Cialis. And I'm like, oh, this is great. So I ended up taking one of the Cialis pills. I thought everything was fine and dandy. I had no clue that I was now having something else in me that was illegal. I took the Cialis pill on June the 14th, June 16th. USADA came over to my house 6 o'clock in the morning. Hey, what's up, guys? Got coffee going, offering everybody water bottles. Super nice, hospitable. The only thing that I did was I took a pill that I thought was going to give me a... I had no clue that that test was going to be the test that derailed my life.
Compare that to Conor McGregor. Yes, he's had his controversies, but when it comes to fight night, the man shows up. That's exactly what White emphasized. This guy has always delivered.
Hey, is Conor McGregor ever going to fight in the UFC again?
Yeah, I mean, if you see, he's been posting videos of himself training. He's back in the pool now. He wants the White House fight.
Okay. Because I've seen him train, but I've also seen him party a lot recently.
I've seen a lot of photos of him recently.
Yeah, there's been some photos. There's been a lot of things going around, so I didn't know if he was coming back.
Well, listen, if he starts getting in shape and training and stays the course, that's the fight he wants. He keeps telling me he wants that fight, so
okay.
we'll see how it plays out over the next several months.
For a White House event that will be broadcast live on CBS as part of America's 250th anniversary celebration, reliability isn't just preferred, it's absolutely critical. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Conor McGregor hasn't fought since his devastating leg break against Dustin Poirier in 2021. He's 37 years old, and recent training footage has fans questioning if he's lost a step. It's simple. When McGregor signs a contract, he shows up. When he's healthy, he fights. There's no last-minute drama, no police incidents the week before the fight, no failed drug tests that force event cancellations.
He's been posting videos of himself training. He's back in the pool now. He wants the White House. If he starts getting in shape and training and stays the course, that's the fight he wants. He keeps telling me he wants that fight.
McGregor recently re-entered the UFC's drug testing pool, signaling a serious return. He's even posted on social media saying he'd be honored to fight at the White House, calling it where he's headed next. But here's the twist. In a recent post, McGregor wrote about being ringside at the White House event, suggesting he might not actually be fighting, but rather attending as a spectator. This adds another layer of uncertainty to an already complex situation. So what does this all mean for the future of the UFC and these two superstars?
It's one of my own. I guess you want to do all. Congratulations, sir. I tell you what, your work ethic is inspiring. Your work rate is inspiring.
For McGregor, this endorsement from White could be exactly what he needs to secure one final massive payday. Even if he's past his prime, the White House event would be the perfect stage for a comeback story. What do you think? Should Dana White trust McGregor over Jones for this historic event? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for all the latest UFC news and analysis. And this has been Combat Central. We'll see you next time. And remember, in the fight game, your reputation is everything.
Khamzat Chimaev said that you are the scariest guy in MMA.
That's a huge compliment coming from Khamzat. I'm a big fan of Khamzat. I don't think he has any reason to toot my horn or to even be humbled. He doesn't have to be. I mean, heavyweights fear him. And the fact that he has so much respect for me really means a lot. It shows me a lot about his character, his humility to be able to compliment someone in such a huge way. So I'm very grateful and honored.
Will you watch his fight against DDP?
Absolutely. I absolutely watch his fight. I'm not rooting for anyone. I'm just a big fan of martial arts. I want to see them both go on and have long, prosperous MMA careers. I will watch the fight for sure.
But you cannot say who is the favorite, right?
No, I don't really have a favorite. You know, I just enjoy the sport. You know, may the best man win. I hope they both have great careers.
Jon Jones praises Khamzat Chimaev's character after UFC 319 star labels him the scariest MMA fighter. Now, this story has some fascinating layers. Back in 2022, Khamzat Chimaev appeared on the Triple C and Schmo Show, where he had nothing but praise for the former heavyweight champion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chimaev said, and I quote, "Jon Jones, of course, nobody is like him. He beats the monsters. I did all my training with Alexander Gustafsson. I know how good he is. And if Jon Jones could stop that guy, it's scary."
Jon Jones, of course. Nobody is like him. He beats the monsters. You know, I did work all my training, did with Alex. I know how good he is. And if Jon Jones could stop that guy, it's scary. And he beat not easy fighters. It was crazy good fighters, knockout power, and on the ground it was good. Everything was perfect, the guy. And DC, you know how he pressure, and he's good wrestling, and he has good boxing, and he has mentality. It's just pressure the fighters and kill them, you know. And he stopped that guy as well. If he stay in the game, he has to beat pound #1.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Khamzat Chimaev also said Jon Jones is the greatest of all time. Chimaev went on to say, if he stays in the game, he has to be the pound-for-pound #1. Jones recently responded to these comments during an interview with Red Corner MMA, and his response shows the mutual respect between these elite fighters.
A lot of people think that Usman today is the pound-for-pound best. Do you think he's the very best?
I don't think so, because when still Jon Jones here, nobody can be pound-for-pound. I don't think so. Who make that pound-for-pound shit, you know? And nobody did. Well, Jon Jones did. He's one of the best guys in this game. Nobody like him.
Jones said, "That's a huge compliment coming from Khamzat. I'm a big fan of Khamzat. I don't think he has any reason to toot my horn or even be humble. He doesn't have to be. I mean, heavyweights fear him, and the fact that he has so much respect for me means a lot. It says a lot about his character, his humility. This is particularly noteworthy because Chimaev has previously stated he believes he could beat Jones in a potential fight, yet both fighters maintain this professional respect for each other's accomplishments.
Hamza Chimaev said that you are the scariest guy in MMA.
That's a huge compliment coming from Hamza. I'm a big fan of Hamza. I don't think he has any reason to toot my horn or to even be humble. He doesn't have to be. I mean, heavyweights fear him, and the fact that he has so much respect for me really means a lot. It shows me a lot about his character, his humility to be able to compliment someone in such a huge way. So I'm very grateful and honored.
Will you watch his fight against DDP?
Absolutely. I absolutely watch his fight. I'm not rooting for anyone. I'm just a big fan of martial arts. I want to see them both go on and have long, prosperous MMA careers. I will watch the fight for sure.
But you cannot say who is the favorite, right?
No, I don't really have a favorite. You know, I just enjoy the sport. You know, may the best man win. I hope they both have great careers.
Speaking of Khamzat Chimaev, he's got a massive opportunity this weekend at UFC 319 in Chicago. Chimaev will face UFC middleweight champion Dricus du Plessis in what many consider to be a changing of the guard moment. Chimaev enters this fight completely unbeaten in his MMA career, with recent victories over some of the sport's biggest names, Robert Whittaker, Gilbert Burns, and Kamaru Usman. The betting odds heavily favor Chimaev to capture his first UFC championship. This title shot represents the culmination of one of the most meteoric rises in UFC history. When Jones mentioned that heavyweights fear him, he wasn't exaggerating. Chimaev's combination of wrestling dominance and finishing ability has made him one of the most avoided.
Are you a good guy trying to be bad, or are you a bad guy trying to be good?
That's a good question. I think I am a bad guy that's trying to be good.
Who's your top MMA fighters of all time?
Nobody is like him. Nobody. He beats a lot of guys, he beats the monster. I did work all my training, and we did with Alex. I know how good he is. And if Jon Jones could stop that guy, it's scary.
Fighters in multiple weight classes. Now let's talk about one of the strangest retirement stories in recent memory. Jon Jones shocked the MMA world in June when Dana White announced his retirement. But here's the kicker. It lasted exactly 2 weeks. Jon Jones is officially back in the UFC anti-doping program following his return from a 2-week retirement. What changed Jones's mind? The announcement that President Donald Trump wants to host a UFC event at the White House in 2026 as part of the America 250 celebration.
You retired, but now it seems like you're getting back into it.
Yes,
Can you just explain it, break it down for us a little bit?
I was retired. I felt like I was at a place where I've done it all in the MMA space, and felt like there wasn't too many more challenges for me, and I just wanted to do something more than championships and money. And Donald Trump mentioned that he wanted to have a fight at the White House Garden, and that just seems like such a huge opportunity. Just to be able to entertain the country and the world at this level at the White House, it just means the world to me. So I'm back.
Jones has officially re-entered the UFC's anti-doping program and has already submitted his third drug test of 2025. Typically, fighters coming out of retirement need 6 months of testing before competing again, but the UFC could waive this requirement given how brief Jones's retirement was. But here's where things get interesting with Dana White. While Jones and Conor McGregor both threw their names into the conversation to headline the White House card, White quickly dismissed having Jones headline the event due to what he called Jones's questionable past outside of the cage.
Jon Jones, the greatest fighter of all time, potentially, possibly. The guy that retired recently, about 2 weeks ago, because he didn't want to fight Tom Aspinall, because he'd been there, done it. He's living his best life. He's got nothing more to prove. He walked away from the sport, essentially undefeated. He has been retired for 2 weeks, maybe less than that. That gets a bit blurry depending on what the timeline is. But according to Twitter, apparently, according to Twitter, his Twitter, not general hearsay, Jon Jones has unretired. That is correct. He says that he is now back in the testing pool. Check this out. So, of course,
Despite this apparent snub, Jones remains confident about his return. He stated, "I can't promise anyone anything, but I have a very strong feeling that I'll be on that card. I think it's going to be historic. It will be as big as the Thrilla in Manila or the Rumble in the Jungle." This brings us to perhaps the most controversial storyline in the heavyweight division, the Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall saga that never materialized. Jon Jones, branded Dana White's scapegoat as UFC's biggest division takes major hit for over a year. Fans desperately wanted to see Jones fight Tom Aspinall, but it never happened. Instead, Jones fought 40-plus-year-old Stipe Miocic at UFC 309, which many felt was the wrong choice for the division. Now, middleweight star Michael "Venom" Page is defending Jones, claiming that Dana White and the UFC, not Jones, are to blame for this fight never happening. Page told Fred Talks Fighting, "I feel like if that's the fight that he was going for, Tom Aspinall deserved that fight, and it was the UFC that backed the fight against Stipe." Page makes a compelling argument. If they decided that they didn't want that fight to happen, that fight wouldn't have happened. So, we can't put sole blame on Jon Jones.
You went to Jon Jones' house and you put the hands on him?
And not to sound arrogant, there's going to be things that I do that's unusual to it, right? I've been doing it for a long time. But technically, there's things that I'm going to do that he hadn't seen. So, yeah, I would test those things and I would like to pass those on. And so, yeah, of course, the first time, and I think with anybody, it's going to catch him by surprise. So there were things that he felt overwhelmed with. Jon said some stuff. He says he was going to post stuff on the internet. He didn't post it. You know, he said a few things on social media about that. He said something in the line that he was humbled and he got his ass whipped. That's what he said. What would Jon do if somebody knew how to move to his right? I don't think he has the footwork to deal with somebody cutting an angle to his right. And I think it was something that he learned moving around.
Man, I need to rematch Jon Jones at heavyweight. Have him train.
There's no way on earth that he's going to fight me. Not a chance. I will retire Jon Jones without even fighting him.
Jon Jones called us last night and retired. Jon Jones is officially retired. Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champion of the UFC.
Tom Aspinall boldly predicted, "I'm going to retire Jon Jones without even fighting him." Everyone laughed. Everyone thought he was delusional. Well, guess what? Jon Jones just called Dana White and officially retired, walking away from the biggest payday and biggest fight of his career.
Jones, I don't understand why he didn't fight him. And if Jones is like, dude, I was not going to fight Tom Aspinall. He's young. He's better. You know, I don't want to say he's better. He's young. He's athletic. He's dangerous. I don't want to risk my legacy. Perfect. That's all I need to hear.
But it gets even more explosive. UFC legend Demetrius Johnson just sent a brutal message to Jon Jones, saying, "Jones, I don't understand why he didn't fight him. And if Jones was like, dude, I was not going to fight Tom Aspinall. He's young, he's athletic, he's dangerous. I don't want to risk my legacy." Perfect. Translation? One of the greatest fighters of all time just basically called Jon Jones scared?
Important than power. True. And finally, Jon Jones is scared to fight me. True. We'll say true.
This story has everything: retirement drama, legacy questions, and the most disappointing ending to a super fight that never happened. Let's break it all down. You're a UFC fan waiting for what could be the biggest heavyweight unification fight in years? Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. 2 champions, 1 undisputed title. Then, out of nowhere, in Baku, Azerbaijan, of all places, Dana White drops this bombshell. Jon Jones called us last night and retired. Jon Jones is officially retired.
Heavyweight division, take the title away from him.
Jon Jones called us last night and retired. Jon Jones is officially retired. Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champion of the UFC.
Just like that, no press conference, no farewell speech, no final bow. The greatest mixed martial artist of all time, according to many, just walked away. But here's where it gets interesting. This wasn't just any retirement. Jones was the reigning heavyweight champion, holding the belt hostage for nearly 600 days, while Tom Aspinall sat as interim champion, waiting for his shot at unification. Instead of facing the young, dangerous Brit, Jones chose to fight 42-year-old Stipe Miocic at UFC 309, a fight many called a layup, won by TKO, and then disappeared into retirement. The MMA world is asking one question: did the greatest fighter of all time just duck his biggest challenge?
He changes nothing if I beat him. Beating Tom is just like beating Cyril Gain. Has a whole country behind him. He's hot right now. What happens to me after I beat him? Nothing changes for me. I'm not ducking Tom Aspinall. The Tom narrative came out of nowhere. He won a belt and now suddenly I'm ducking him. I've never had negotiations to even fight him, if this makes sense.
Now, if you expected Tom Aspinall to go nuclear on social media or throw a tantrum, you'd be wrong. The British heavyweight took the high road in a recent podcast appearance, sending what might be the classiest farewell message in MMA history. I think he's had an amazing career, and I think he should enjoy the rest of his life. If he truly feels like he's done enough, which he keeps saying that he does, he will be at peace. He doesn't need me or anyone else to tell him how good he's done. I hope that he's enjoying his life, he's enjoying his family, and that he's celebrating his career, because it's been amazing.